you would think, I'm fucking Jewish, you would think, like, I would be a fucking blue chip, right? Like, you would think at the agency, they'd be like, hell yeah, this guy, get him. I don't think most men have really thought, this completely changed the trajectory of my life. Like, I mean, a million people have been enslaved, right? All sorts of people have been enslaved.
Like, okay. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm sorry people think Hitler was bad, man. Like,
when was the Blackwater Fountain open?
I mean, up. People thought we were about to enter a post-racial era, and then, for a bunch of minority underclasses, like, it didn't happen. Obama was elected. Like, does that actually help the Michael Browns of the world? No, it makes no difference.
And I was like, this is fucking bullshit. But I don't blame him. It's not his fault. He's showing up. He's taking the opportunities he's given, right? I mean, that's not. So I completely agree. Anybody at home saying that they begrudge the black woman who showed up at fucking Warner Brothers and was given a job, get the fuck out of here. If you're a white guy, you would show up. Anybody would take this job. No. The idea that woman is supposed to say, "Oh, this is wrong. Don't hire me." Like, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, give me a break. Of course they're gonna fucking take these jobs, right? So I completely agree with you. You shouldn't blame them. You shouldn't blame the recipient of these things. But that still leaves us of whose fault is it, right? So who actually is?
Okay, so what is this essay really saying? What is this essay really about? I'm going to summarize it to the best of my abilities. All right. A white guy spends years in Hollywood. He's trying to make it. He's writing scripts. He's tutoring students. And he's also scalping tickets to pay his bills and survive. In early 2016, he's about 31 years old and he gets his big shot. All right. He gets invited to a writing room. The executives, they love his pilot. They love his writing. And at the last minute, the executives finally tell him, look, we can't hire you. Why can't they hire him? Because the writing room is already full of white men, and they can't have an all-white male writing room in Hollywood. And that's basically when it hits him, right? The entire country has turned against people like him. So in this essay, he's showing us all of these numbers, media numbers, academia numbers, and he's essentially trying to show us the steep decline in white male representation. He's showing us the steep decline in white male professional employment, And his argument is essentially that in 2014, there was a turning point and the DEI became institutionalized. And white male millennials have taken the brunt of that hit. Why? Because older white men, they're good. They were already established. So it was millennial white male men who have taken the brunt of DEI hiring.
Welcome back. There's a powerful new article. It's gone viral. The Lost Generation. It's about young white men failing to rise professionally. Now, Jacob Savage describes in the article how he had a career dead end before his film career in writing ever really took off. He wrote, "This was it. The moment of our careers were supposed to take off, we'd put in our time. I'd been tutoring SATs and reselling tickets to make ends meet while I wrote. And while 5 years seemed par for the course based on slightly older guys we knew who had already made it, it wasn't by 2016. We were already too late." The showrunner, the employer for writers in Hollywood, emailed us back and apologetically said, "I hadn't initially thought I might be able to bring you guys in, but in the end, it turns out this is not possible." They went ahead and met with the executive anyway, a Gen X white guy, who told us how much he loved our pilot, but the writer's room was small. He explained apologetically, and the higher level writers were already all white men, and they couldn't have an all white male room. Maybe if another show got a season, they'd bring us on. They never did. And Savage is right. Over time, you began to see these policies take shape in industry across industry in this nation. It reached a fever pitch, of course, although it didn't begin. It reached its peak during the riots of George Floyd. That's when Democrats literally took a knee. White men were the problem, then and now.
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
White men, something is broken. Something is cracked deep inside when so many of you believe the answer to fear, to loss, to change is violence.
Now, an entire generation of young men are and have been paying the price. The author of that piece, Jacob Savage, joins me now. Jacob, thanks for being with us here today. Your article is everywhere. Everybody's reading it and sharing it. And it's built upon two fascinating things. One, your personal experience and the personal experience of others that you know across industries, academia, journalism, writing, television, and the stats, Jacob. You give us a lot of stats, not just the anecdotes of what have happened in all these industries. Yours, writing, is a great example. In 2011, 48% of jobs at the lower level were white men. By 2024, under 12%. So what do you think about this? Something that you say started in 2014.
I think we sort of just started noticing things change. I would say sort of about our cohort is we grew up in the 90s on race-blind, gender-blind idea of meritocracy, which is not to say that it was always perfect, but we thought when we graduated from college that generally the best person would get the job. And then very suddenly those rules shifted on us, and it became much more based upon identity in all these different fields. And I think sort of that gap between what our expectations were and what ended up happening fueled a lot of pretty weird stuff, honestly.
Well, and it made it almost impossible statistically for you to advance and for your friends to advance. In some case, even get the first job. I'm curious, and I think in the piece you describe yourself as or at least a lot of the people you describe as men of the left. So I'm curious how everyone feels today. I mean, to be openly discriminated against, proudly discriminated against, that's a pretty radicalizing experience.
Yeah, I think people have a sense that, even if they were or still are men of the left, there's less of a sort of hardcore belief, especially among white men of my cohort. They feel something much deeper has changed that is fundamentally illiberal, and having been subject to what happened, aren't as enthusiastic maybe as they once were.
I've read your piece, and I've seen a lot of the conversation around your piece. There is a guy who has been on this show, a guy named Jeremy Carl, and he appreciated your piece, but he had some criticism for you, and I just want to see your response to that. He said, it's a little bit like the story, while he lauded your piece, it's a little bit like the story of the frog who gives a ride to a scorpion across the river. Like, you flirted with this. If you're of the left, you flirted with this movement, with this identity, and now it stung you. Could you not see this coming? What's your response?
My response is that I don't think anyone, I don't think this is sort of based upon someone being of the left or the right. This happened in all these prestige industries, regardless of one's personal politics. I think it also happened, quite frankly, in other industries. These were just the industries that relentlessly cataloged it for everyone to see, and made the statistical stuff much easier to find. I think in terms of whether or not people deserve to get what they got is almost beside the point at this point. I think going forward, ideally what we would all want is just a fair system for everyone in this country.
Yes, we're out of time, Jacob. It's worthy of a much longer conversation. Check out his piece.
And so, as a black man, my reaction is this. Okay, I can see that. I believe that he is telling the truth. But I'm still side-eyeing it, As a black man, when I read this essay, I'm like, damn, they out here treating millennial white men like they black men now. Black men specifically have been hearing this in a very polite, corporate, code-switching language for most of our lives. Everybody said it out loud also. But just like what the white male millennial may be experiencing right now, we have also experienced. It's kind of interesting because it doesn't seem like his issue is with black men. You know, Mr. Jacob Savage sort of dances around what I think he really wants to say. And I think what he really wants to say is that women are taking all of their jobs. More specifically, in his opinion, unqualified black women are taking all the white male millennial jobs.
Today, you know, I have endless texts that I've saved from various people saying, yeah, sorry, no white guys, no white guys. I mean, I remember I interviewed at the agencies because I had, you know, vague connections.
Hollywood
You know,
dreams.
well, no, yeah, I moved out here. I was top of my class, law review, passed the bar, come from a theater fucking family. You would think, I'm fucking Jewish. You would think, like, I would be a fucking blue chip, right? Like you would think at the agency they'd be like, hell yeah, this guy, get him.
1975, you're with like Michael Ovitz.
Yeah. Like, dude, get him in here. And I remember there was this weird, like, you know, you're in.
Let me just stop for a moment. Listen, I feel for these guys. Both probably early 30s, you know what I'm saying, Jewish white males, and I feel them. Anytime in American history, these guys will be made in the shade. But because of DEI, according to them at least, they are sitting around bitter, upset, drinking Maker's Mark straight out of the bottle, complaining about black women taking all the jobs. Let's get back into it.
You're in ICM. Remember, I interviewed at ICM. And you're in this thing, and it's like, yeah, there's this weird vibe of we're like, yeah, we just can't do it, man. Sorry, we just can't do it. We can't give you a shitty $38,000 a year job after you come out of law school. It's like you gotta understand. 40 years previously, that would have been a sure thing. And then now, so then I had to fucking figure it out on my own. You know, I had to like do all these end arounds and shit. Which is fine. Like for me personally, it's fine. I wouldn't really want it any other way. Like I was never gonna fit in anyway, personally. But for other people, like people like you who like did all the right things, it's like, you know, I don't think most men have really thought this completely changed the trajectory of my life. Like completely, you know? And it's like that's just amazing to think about. And you were really the first one to put that into words. And you're
about like directives to colleges and stuff. But I think that sort of from a more macro cultural perspective, people thought we were about to enter a post-racial era, and then for a bunch of minority underclasses, like it didn't happen. You know, Obama was elected. Like, does that actually help the Michael Browns of the world? No, it makes no difference. And once sort of people realized that actually on the ground things hadn't changed that much, you know, despite, you know, having a black president for 4 years, it's really all Obama's second term stuff. It became a moral prerogative to make that so.
Oh, that's not the reason.
Why? What's the reason?
Because that's not why. It's not like people were sitting around thinking, "Well, Obama didn't work out."
No.
We need to.
No, I don't think there's like a conspiracy. Right? I don't think there's.
No, it's not about conspiracy. I'm just saying like people weren't thinking. That. It's not like people use
the implicit promise of Obama was like a post-racial society. That was like the implicit promise.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Sure, fine.
That we've like reckoned with our sins, et cetera, like from now on everyone will, you know, thrive according to their, you know, ability, et cetera.
Right.
And
well, do you remember there's that amazing decision from
D-Riding Obama,
who was the
Boondocks, best episode ever.
Right. We will no longer need affirmative action because the racial injustice will have been corrected. And since blacks and whites are absolutely equal on every level, surely the blacks in 25 years will have then, become completely equal with the whites in academia. And obviously nothing could be further from the truth. And the delusion to believe that at the time truly astounds me. I cannot believe she actually thought that.
A drunk mind speaks a sober heart. Them boys attacking this maker mark and they starting to really speak their mind out here.
But we're talking about, aren't we?
Like separate water fountains, like that did exist past World War II.
When were the separate water fountains? When was the Black's water fountain?
I mean, up till like the 50s, up till the late.
But we're talking about, aren't we talking about like 2 places in Mississippi? We're talking about like a photo op in Mississippi of 1 water fountain. Like that wasn't the norm. Everybody thinks that's the norm.
No,
that wasn't like the norm.
I don't know. Maybe I'll reveal my Jewish libtardness. But like, look, like I remember going. I don't remember where I was exactly, but I was somewhere in the South, and there was like an old movie theater we went to, and there were like 2 water fountains like suspiciously like close to each other. And like it was
right, but we're talking about like 1 place, man. Like that wasn't like the norm. It's not like every single place was like colored people only, like that. You're talking about like Indiana and like.
As a black man from the South, I don't know what this guy's talking about, but they clearly do not know what they're talking about right now.
Maybe Georgia, like that wasn't like the normal thing going on, was it? I mean, maybe it was. I really don't.
I don't feel like competent to speak to that.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
I think that like it definitely existed, and like, but just to get back to like the subject at hand, like the idea that because of that, like an Indian American woman should be staffed on TV shows instead of me, it's pretty weird. Like,
I think he's saying something like, unless I'm misinterpreting it, I think he's saying something like, just because black people went through slavery and essentially like the Jim Crow era, because he's like making fun of like water fountains, separate bathrooms, and all this type of stuff like that, that shouldn't automatically mean that he shouldn't be able to find a job in 2025. I don't think he sees how these 2 things are related. I don't know. That's interesting. Okay. All right. Here's the thing, though. In his essay, this gentleman implied that an ordinary white guy used to have a fair path, and now he doesn't. I personally see that as an advantage, because black people have always known that being ordinary was never enough. Now that millennial white males are experiencing the same plight, maybe we might be even now. I'm not sure. Because black people like myself have always been told that you have to be twice as good. And that still may not be enough. So when he says, I'm an ordinary talent, and in ordinary times, that would have been enough. Nah, bruh. You got to understand that today we are living in extraordinary times. And it is my belief that to make it in this world, you have to be extraordinary. So when the black man's ceiling used to be the white man's floor, right? I can understand how now he feels like he's hitting the ground. I'm like, not white male millennials playing the victim all of a sudden. Come on, bruh. Not white male millennials claiming systematic racism now. Come on, bruh. But I digress. And I'm interested to know what you all think. You know what I'm saying? Hop in the comments and chit chat with your boy. Can you empathize? Can you understand? Can you empathize with white male millennials feeling like they have been marginalized in 2025? Can you empathize with them feeling bitter and dissatisfied, feeling like the world has turned against them for the sake of identity politics? If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this type of content, please do not hesitate to tap in with your boy at www.cancelby.com for more exclusive content. And as always, listen, like, subscribe, and tune in to another episode of Cancel BY.